Golfers, what if I told you that there's one little thing you can add to your golf swing that's going to allow you to hit the ball more solid and get that draw that you've been hoping for? Hi, everybody. Darren Falk here at Break 90 Golf. And today we're going to be looking at how the right wrist or the trail wrist moves in the golf swing, both in the backswing and in the downswing. That's going to help you to hit more solid golf shots and help you to get rid of that dreaded slice. Stick around. You're not going to want to miss this one. Okay, so typically when we talk about hinging, what we talk about or what people are thinking in terms is just this up and down motion. Okay. My left wrist is hinging, okay, up and down, radial and ulnar deviation. But while this is also happening, what we also, which is not often talked about, is the right wrist is also moving. Now, it's not hinging as much up and down as it is hinging more from side to side or flexion and extension, okay? When I put those two together, hinge my left up and hinge my left wrist up, my thumb up, and pull my right wrist back, almost feel like my knuckles are going to try to touch the back of my left wrist. What do we notice starts to happen with the golf club? Two things. One, look where the club face is pointed, okay? And two, look at the angle that the club is on. Right? That do this incorrectly and just thinking in terms where a lot of players struggle is they just think hinge the club up in the air and then look what happens where the club face is pointed back over my head. Okay. And then also look at my right wrist, how flat it is. Look at how steep the angle the golf club is on. Right. If I do that in the back swing, it's going to look like this. Or if I start to do that in the downswing by pulling down, there's the club face open. There's my swing path getting too steep going across the golf ball, right? So what we need to see is not only is the left wrist hinging up and down, but we've got to couple that with the right wrist hinging a little bit more to the side, right? So here it is, hinging the left wrist up while pulling the right wrist back. If I went just to here, look at where the club face is pointed, right? If I keep going, look at the angle that the club is on now, right? Do it incorrectly, no right wrist bend. Look what happens to the club face and look what happens to the pitch of the shaft. Very, very steep vertical. And there's the club face pointed back here. If I were just to swing the club down from that position, obviously super steep, club face is open, big slices, right? So again, the beauty of it is we can change that just by this little move with my right wrist, right? So here we are, swing the club back, left wrist hinges up, right wrist hinges back, and there's that picture perfect backswing that we see. And if I maintain that coming down, there's the club head just inside the hands, and we see that club face squared. Okay, so how do we learn this move? So we're going to learn this really in two phases. One is going to be getting it and understanding how it works in the backswing. And then two is going to be making sure that we maintain it on the follow through, right? So for the backswing, the first drill that we're going to do here very simply is we're just going to go ahead and preset these wrist angles before we even get the club back, right? And here's how we're going to do it. You're going to set up to the golf ball, just as we normally would. And the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to just hinge that club straight up in front of you, okay? And really the way you want to feel this is that the butt end of the club is that anything is actually pushing down, okay? So there it is, just hinging that club right out in front of me. And as you can see, my club's leaned a little bit in front of me. So that club has already got a little bit of an angle, okay? Doesn't really matter. You can go this way first too, right? Now, here's the important part. From here, when the club's parallel to the ground, what I want you to do is go ahead and from keeping it parallel to the ground, I want you just to move it to where the club head is right in line with your hands. So I've got this stick down here on the ground, okay? And all I'm going to do is keeping the butt end of the club right where it is I'm just going to get my club to point where it's parallel to that ground, right? Or to the stick, okay? And automatically, what do we notice with my wrist? Okay, they're perfect. My left wrist has gotten some hinge up and down, the radial, okay? But also, what do we notice in order to get the club in that position? What does my right wrist had to have done? It has to bend back, okay? I've got to have some right wrist bend. If I were to do it incorrectly, right, I'd look something like this over here, okay? And I kept that going, obviously, right? We all know that is not correct, okay? So look at my right wrist here. And then from there, if I just bent my right wrist back, look at the effect that's having on the pitch of the shaft and also with the club face. Okay, so again, where are we going to learn this? We're going to learn this right over here, right in front of the golf ball. So here's how it's going to work. We're going to just basically take the grip end of the club, keep it right where it is, and just go ahead and take the club head, put it so where the shaft is parallel to the ground and the club head's right in line with my hands. Okay, if I do that, that club face has to be correct. The only way the club can get there is if my right wrist is bent back correctly, right? So again, just going to go ahead and set that first. And then from there, we can just go ahead and make our golf swing. Okay. And that's going to establish that feeling in the backswing. Okay. Let's do that again. Again, hinge the club in front of you. From there, just rotate it to the side. There's the club in line with the hands, parallel to the ground. From there, just go ahead and let your body pivot. Feel that left shoulder work down to the ground, and that's going to keep those wrist angles intact. We don't have to think about them anymore. That's the beauty of this drill. So again, hinge first, rotate to the side. Okay. Okay, so that's going to be the first drill to learn the proper technique with the right wrist in the backswing. Okay, so for the second part, we got to learn how to make sure we maintain these wrist angles on the downswing. Now, oftentimes people will talk about trying to create some lag, and typically where they go wrong with that is they think in terms of trying to pull this club down with the left arm, and what happens, where's that club start to go? It gets thrown out because it's not just from the left wrist, it also is making sure that we keep the right wrist, right? So I don't like to think in terms of trying to keep the lag or pull on the club, other than just thinking in terms of keeping these angles that we already set in the backswing. So again, we did the first drill and I just set the club. So butt end of the club over the golf ball, club parallel to the ground, right? That got my wrist in the right spot. Now, if I went ahead and tick the swing back, my left shoulder down towards the ball, now watch. The only thing I'm going to do is feeling that I'm maintaining these wrist angles as I move my body forward. Look at where the golf club is now. Okay. Pretty much back to where it started. If anything, maybe a little bit to the inside, but look at where the butt end of the club's over the ball and look where my club head is. It's in line with my hands. Okay. Done incorrectly, we would see that pulling, okay? And then again, we would start to lose that right wrist bend. So if I start to come down and pull the club down, I'm gonna look something like this. If I went ahead then here and added more of my right wrist, kept that back, look again what's happening to the club. It's moving more behind my hands, and it's also gonna start to square up that club face as well too, okay? So again, for this drill here, we'll do the first drill. We'll just set the club correctly first. Butt end of the club over the golf ball, okay? Club in line with the hands, so it's parallel to the ground, parallel to that stick that's in front of me, okay? And again, we're just gonna go ahead and make a little swing and try to return the club back to that pretty much that same spot, okay? It's gonna move a little bit in front of you because the weight's moving forward, okay? But look at how good those wrist angles are. Look at where the club face is pointed, okay? How square it is. And then look at how the club is more in line with my hands, or if anything, a little bit further back behind my hands. Okay. So again, these are just little drills you can do at home with a ball, without a ball. Okay. That's what we're looking for. Look where my right wrist is bent back. My left wrist still has some of that hinge in there. Okay. But again, the focus really is going to be that right wrist, because look what happens if I start to lose that. Look where the club goes outside, and the club face is starting to point more to the right. Right. So when I blend them all together, now I just have the feeling of my left wrist hinging, that because we definitely do need that. But now I've got this feeling of my right wrist bending back and keeping it bent back as long as I can through the golf shot. Thank you everybody for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you have not already done so, please make sure that you like this video and also make sure you are subscribed to this channel. That will help me to keep putting out videos. It will also notify you when a new video is released. If you would like to work with me, we can do so in person at Holly Ridge Golf Club on Cape Cod, or we can do so online via the Skillest app, and you'll see links to both of those in the description below. If there's anything you would like to see in future videos, please make sure to mention it in the comments. And as always, I appreciate you joining me and look forward to seeing you again next time.